Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers a commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio, and you make this show possible. That's right, you. Simply click through our Amazon affiliate links the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. Well, we have a great panel back together again. We have Josh Cass, otherwise known as Whitey from Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Pleasure to be here.
And we have Ebbs of House of Guns returning as well. Hey, Ebbs.
What's up, Jacob?
And we have John Cass of the I'm With Chaos YouTube channel. Hey, John.
Hi, Jake. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, you guys calm down about 100 notches from the pre-show.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. We were not ultra excited.
Man, we are calm as Hindu cows.
Wow. I mean, that's really calm, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was nothing like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" That didn't happen.
No, never. So let's get into the top stories this evening. Starting off with the ATF accepting comment on the M855 ammo ban, otherwise known as the 223.556 ammo ban, until March the 15th. So we can all tell the ATF how much or how big of a mistake this is.
All right. They've always been so good at listening
after this date.
Right? I mean, is this really going to do any good? What do you think, Josh?
For one, it's funny because they're attempting to ban something based on a grouping that they themselves identified. So they're not just, screwing with people. It's total backdoor legislation. The only thing I think we could actually do by voicing our opinion, there's a wonderful website that just went up. What was that website again, Cass?
SaveM855.com.
And you can fax your thoughts over to the ATF and over and over and over again. I personally will be putting this up on 4guysguns.com just so we can actually provide people faster link. Now, what does this actually do? Well, your voice will most likely not be heard. Let's be honest, you're going to be in a sea of faxes that will, in our minds, flood the floor full of wonderful paper. Now, what does that do? Well, it doesn't really do a whole lot because once it gets to a certain point, there is no person sitting there reading one at a time saying, well, this person's got a valid point. But paper costs money. Toner costs a lot of money. And you just keep hammering, and you keep hammering. And if you get enough people sending, 10, 15 a day, that's going to start chipping away at some budgets. And that's going to actually send a little bit more of a financial message than anything. So, yeah, they could lash out and they could say, well, thanks for voicing your opinion, we're going to do it anyway. But the legislation itself is backdoor. If the NRA is even paying the slightest attention, they should be all over this. If they're not, well, that tells you where their head's at. And just the fact that, what makes me laugh, and I'm sorry, is that accepting comment on M855 ammo ban until March 15th. That's pretty much their words. They're accepting comment. Like, we're just going to not bitch after March 15th.
No, the legislation in place says that there's like this whole process about comments. Comments sound to most of us like a very simple thing because we're so used to the term, just leave a comment, that sort of thing. But regarding ATF nonsense, a comment holds a lot more weight. My understanding is they do actually have to go through every single one of them. And this was something that was being tossed around when we were talking about magazine bans and all sorts of AR-15 issues years ago. What's really interesting to me about this M855 thing, besides the fact that I agree with Josh, you should be flooding the ATF with good, coherent comments, not garbage. Don't scream at them. Don't type in all caps. It doesn't do you any good to yell at these people. Just be reasonable. This is not an armor-piercing round by definition of an armor-piercing round. There's a statute. I think it's let's see, 18 something 921. I don't know. It's a bunch of
18
nonsense.
USC 921A 17B Section I.
Yeah, so it basically says that the projectile has to be constructed entirely of one or a combination of the following: tungsten alloys, steel, iron, brass, bronze, beryllium, copper, or depleted uranium, or a full jacketed projectile larger than .22 caliber, designed and intended for use in a handgun, and whose jacket has a weight of more than 25% of the total weight of the projectile. I don't get it either. I don't understand why this is considered armor piercing, because nobody else not even the people that use this for a living consider it AP. They just don't. So I don't know. What do you think, Ebbs?
I think it's stupid. I think everything the government does is stupid, and I think the ATF needs to be disbanded. And
I agree.
I think the NFA needs to be terminated, and I think that this is a preliminary reach to open the door to more ammo bans based on erroneous facts of what is actually armor piercing. And maybe they felt like we didn't have enough panic going on currently, and they were just going to stir the pot a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, gosh, is anybody else so tired of this? I barely even have the energy to roll my eyes. You know? And, like, I really feel that way, and it's just ongoing and ignorant, and overreaching of power, and it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed by our leadership, and it's only called that because of the title associated with it. It's embarrassing, and I don't know. I love America, and I love being an American, but I'm embarrassed at the ignorance we allow to lead us. And I just think that's kind of, in a nutshell, what all of this is, and that's how I feel about it. And thanks for sharing that fact site, because I've already got it pulled up, and I've sent 3 already.
Yeah.
So
one
I'm
thing
set
I'd
a
like,
timer.
just repeatedly click it. One thing I'd like to point out is that there's this really weird kind of portion of this statute that essentially says if it's designed to be used or may be used in a handgun, then it magically becomes an armor-piercing round. If it's strictly for a rifle, it's not considered armor-piercing. What? What planet is this? Who are these people coming up with this nonsense? Now, context, this was, I believe, done back in the 70s or 80s. I'm not sure. When there was some concern on large scale of police armor being defeated by some cartridges out there. I don't know. I think
seen
it's
in the movie
completely
Lethal Weapon
absurd.
2.
Really?
Yeah, remember? The little
No, I don't remember.
green tips? Mel Gibson, he's like, yep, body armor's optional, boys. These are on the streets, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, the whole polymer panic back with Die Hard 2, because, Glocks go right through metal detectors, when in fact they are denser and have a lot more metal than most modern service pistols of the same size that are usually all alloy or steel.
Yeah, it's completely absurd. I know there's been a lot of talk. I've been speaking a lot with my good buddy Adam Kraut, who is an attorney that's doing a lot of work with this particular issue, and it's very if you have any common sense as a normal human being, and you understand that using it in an AR-15 versus an AR-15 pistol does not change the actual physical properties of the ammunition, if you understand that, your mind is going to explode when you try and understand the AF. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that what Eric said about the ATF having no checks, like nobody can stop them. That's a big problem that we need to address. And the same goes for the Bureau of Land Management, which is what started that stuff at the Bundy Ranch not that long ago. There is nothing in place to stop the ATF from doing whatever they please with our Second Amendment right, and that is kind of a big problem.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, they really, honestly, if the ATF wanted to, they could seriously just go, all right, hand them over. Now, what would that do? What would the consequences of that be? Catastrophic. However, there's nothing to stop them from doing that. There are no checks on the ATF in the United States. It's awful.
Right. They could do far worse things than even this. And, one question to ask is what kind of people are in there, and who put the people, in there at the head of the ATF. Right.
They're not elected. I think a lot of people misunderstand that the ATF is not an elected office. The head of the ATF, that's just a normal guy with a normal, quote unquote, normal job. It's really scary.
Yeah. I saw some things floating around the interwebs this week about cheaper than dirt, maybe already price gouging 223. Is that true?
I think maybe is a definite no.
How are we not hung up on the name of the company? How is that not the most absurd thing of the entire argument? They're the worst gougers since, well, whenever, but PMags, stand out the most, and then
$100.
And then all of a sudden, oh hey, time to jack that ammo price up. But their title is cheaper than dirt, and things that are cheaper than dirt should be like cheaper than pawn shop, right? Or Sportsman's Guide or something like that.
Yeah.
They're not even that, and that I think is the dumbest. I don't know. I can't get over it.
So I saw some screenshots and stuff on Facebook, but just now I went to Cheaper Than Dirt looking for 223 ammo, and they have, for example, they have Arms Corps USA 500 rounds for $169. So that ain't bad.
No, it's not bad. But what happened was when they initially found out what was going on and did what they do to try and make ends meet, because they're struggling for money over there at Cheaper Than Dirt because their prices are so low. I think it was $900 for 1,000 rounds of 855.
Yeah,
$900. Yeah. And this was less than 24 hours after this thing hit. It's the same crap they did with PMags. I made a video about this 2 years ago.
They're just overly opportunistic. It's not even supply and demand yet.
Right. And I get it. Like I understand. They're gonna, if we had somebody on from Cheaper Than Dirt,
why?
Not only would we scream at them, we would have the conversation, and they would say something along the lines of, "Hey, we're just trying to make our money now, so that we don't have to try and make up for it later." And I get that to a point, but there becomes an issue when you just step all over your customers and try to run them into the ground. Like Eb said, it goes far beyond supply and demand.
So buying a silencer just got a lot easier. Well, apparently, according to CNN Money, apparently it's way easy to buy a silencer now. That Silencer Co. Has also, the lawyer all lined up for you to buy it, and yeah.
Oh, the Silencer Co. trust deal that they have.
Yeah, I don't like the wording of this article. It's clearly written by someone who seems to be pushing someone to believe that it's far too easy. So
right.
Let's make it even easier, and it skips over a lot of really key points about buying or owning a suppressor.
Yes. So my dad saw a news report similar to this article and the wording and everything, and my dad isn't like up on the whole firearms world.
Did we lose him?
Oh no, the host.
Did we lose the host? Oh no. Is it even recorded? We're still live, so I mean.
Yes. Yep.
We have like free reign. Oh no.
This is like the moment where the kids realize the parents left them home alone, and they're like, "What? Do we get the ice cream or the Pop-Tarts first?
Oh wait,
What's
he's
it gonna be?"
He's back. Is he back? I don't know. I see Firearms Radio Network.
Let's see if he comes on with a great segue. There he is.
And this portion brought to you by MediaCom Cable, the cable that never goes out.
That's precious.
Anyways, I'll start off where I left off for audio listeners since it pulls from my local feed here. But anyways, my dad, he's just a casual gun guy. He's not up on all the latest stuff, and he saw a similar report to the CNN report, and he's like, "So we can get silencers in Illinois now?"
No.
Right.
I'm like, "No, Dad."
Sorry, Dad.
So this
You can't.
This article on CNN Money says, for a fee of $130, Silencer Co. provides legal counsel to help customers leap the hurdles required for silencer approval. What in the hell are they smoking?
That's false.
These people, these lawyers, are not there to help you leap hurdles. They're there to help you get through doing this legally and understand the process.
Well, and you know what people often forget, and John, you can help me with this because you know a little bit more about NFA stuff than me, but the two suppressors that I picked up that I had a Class 3, had sent to Class 3, and he submitted my paperwork or filled it out, and I sent it in, and he did the transfer for me and everything. I still had to fill out a 4473 background check when I actually picked up my suppressors.
Yeah, that's something that I don't necessarily understand why that's done, because technically you're being approved at the time that the form goes through the ATF, and you shouldn't really need it. But right. I believe the ATF is requiring people to get an extra 4473 when that transfer actually occurs.
Right, and I think the purpose for that is because of the time span of the paperwork and the inspectors and all that stuff, that it could be, vaguely possible that someone could be in some sort of trouble from the time that it was submitted and the time that they actually pick it up.
Jake, do you think it's worth discussing the process here briefly of how you can legally attain a suppressor?
Yeah, go for it, John. That'd be great.
Okay, so for those of you out there that don't know, silencers, suppressors, that term is interchangeable. They are legal in most of the United States. There are two main ways that you can get them. One being as an individual, where you fill out the Form 4 as, you put on your personal information, and that becomes registered to you. No one else can possess that legally. Because they are not in a trust or anything with that. You are the only person that can possess that can. Now, there are kind of quote-unquote gray areas with possession, but I don't have time to get into that. That's something you can talk to like Adam Crowd or Joshua Prince if you've got a whole lot of questions about that. But essentially, you can get it as an individual. You fill out the form, send that form away with $200 to the ATF, wait anywhere from 3 to 6 months, I think, is the current wait. I could be a little off on that. It does change. I waited 11 for my own.
Gosh.
And that was back in the height of things. Now, that was when things were bad, when 18 months was a normal thing. So you could do it like that, wait for the approval, and then you go to the gun shop. They give you the stamp, the actual physical tax stamp, and then you can take your can home and shoot it and have fun with it. Alternatively, you can basically create a legal entity such as a trust or an LLC. A lot of people go with trust. That's a very common thing. In fact, I have a trust, and Eric has one as well. And what that trust is it's a legal entity in itself. So you do not own the can. The trust owns the can. And anybody that you have on the trust as a trustee, obviously there are certain levels of where you can place people in this, and this is where the value of having good legal counsel comes into play. Essentially, that trust owns it. You are a representative of the trust. You send that $200 check away for a suppressor to the ATF. Same process happens when you pick it up. You are, again, a representative of the trust. And what you do is you cut down on possession issues. I'll give you an example. If you get a can as an individual and you have it in your home unlocked, not in a safe, whatever. If for whatever reason the ATF decided to come in, they don't do this. Just for the record, they don't do this. They don't have time. But if somebody decided to press charges against whoever was in your home for having that cannon, it was registered to you, you are in a big world of problems. Now, if you put them on the trust, it's a non-issue. My entire family and some friends are on my trust because I know that at some point I may go, here, have fun with it. You can legally use this. You are a trustee and things of that nature. So those are kind of the cores of the two ways you can get it. Now, please understand that there is a lot more complication that goes into this, and if you decide to get a trust or get a suppressor, you should talk to a lawyer that is well versed in this sort of thing, because I'm not that.
And there are, like what Silencer Co. has done, and there are other entities out there where their specialty are the slang term of gun trust. Because there are other types of trusts, obviously, but this handles the firearm side of it that the NFA recognizes as a legal way to own, possess, and obtain Class 3 items, or not even necessarily Class 3 items, regulated, NFA-regulated items. So that we're talking full auto stuff, we're talking, the good stuff, basically, military arms, things like that, and it's the higher you go up that scale, the more expensive it gets. But the good thing about a trust, like John was saying, is you're not just limited as an individual to being the only person that can possess it. People who are trustees on that listed as members of your trust can have it in their possession. And if anyone ever called them on it, they either have, like I keep copies of my stamps. My actual stamps stay in the safe, locked up, away from prying eyes, but I have color copies of all of my stamps that actually stay with the item just for precaution's sake, because there are a lot of people and there are a lot of law enforcement officers that don't know or understand the law completely, so I'm just covering my tail, as it were. So that's, John described it and I muddied it up, but that's the long and short of the NFA thing. So what the CNN article is saying is completely false. You don't get to pay $130-some to Silencer Co. for an end around to just be able to buy your suppressor and get it delivered to your house. It's uninformed and it's ignorant. Unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with.
So it looks like having, I don't know if you mentioned this, but it looks like processing through a trust rather than as an individual, it looks like your wait time can be greatly reduced.
That is duty caca.
No, it's not true.
No.
Wait time is continually being reduced by the added inspectors that they have now. But I got word from my Class 3, who's holding the most beautiful SBR AK ever made known to man for me right now while I wait, that he got paperwork back on a Form 4, which is either a manufacturer-made SBR or a suppressor. So it's a paper form. He got a paper Form 4 back in 3 months and a week, and it was an individual. And he's had trusts that have gone longer. He had a 4.5 month and a 4 month trust that came back last week too. So it just, there's nothing that can substantiate that claim.
Right, and people will tell you that filing online is a significantly faster route. And now I don't know if that, at one point that was true. At one point, trusts were faster. Online was faster. I don't know if that's still the case. One thing I want to add about trusts that I didn't mention that is actually a significant thing to understand is that, we talked about possession issues. Well, let's think about the fact that you could and will die someday, and having a trust, especially with your children on there, kind of prevents them from having to go through legal nonsense to maintain possession of those items. You're protecting your entire family by making this investment. Now, Josh and I were actually talking about this Silencer Co. thing, and it almost looks like this fee of $130 keeps it basically just gives you permission to use their legal counsel instead of like paying $130 and get a trust. Is that what you got from it?
I didn't get a whole lot from it, to be perfectly honest. when I was looking at it, their site isn't that descriptive as to what exactly you're getting for that $130. So that's why I was really interested in watching this video on CNN, because clearly the writing sucks. I don't think, aside from, listen, if you want to talk on CNN Money about silencers, I think they should stick to what they know, where they have the link to their article about the silencer market has been booming. 37% growth year over year for any business. 37% growth year over year is a great thing to have. They should stick to what they know. This is CNN Money. This is not CNN Second Amendment, line of information. Right. So if you go to Silencer Co., and not for nothing, I have absolutely nothing against Silencer Co. I fully plan on getting one or two. But the site didn't. It had a buy now. You could go here. We'll go right here. Silencer Co. Da, 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 da. And we click on it, and it's literally like 3 paragraphs that state about the same, if not less, than what the actual this article does. So I mean, it doesn't really even tell you what you're getting. Now I didn't go past that whole. Oh my God, what is going on? Just let me in the site, Silencer Co. What?
While you're dealing with the site, I have a couple quick things. I know we're taking a lot of time on this article, but it is very, very important in the grand scheme of things, much like the M855 thing. There's a paragraph in here that says silencers and also fully automatic machine guns fall under the National Firearms Act, which was passed in 1934 in the wake of the St. Valentine's Day massacre to make it more difficult for gangsters to get certain guns. That makes it sound like silencers were part of that original act. The NFA Act in 1934 was basically a way to get the Thompson machine gun off the streets. The $200 tax stamp was actually about the same cost as a Thompson machine gun at the time. So that's why the tax stamp is $200. Well, we are lucky that they didn't extrapolate that over the years. Go ahead.
I think it's even more than that. I think the inflation equivalent is more like $5,000. Like if you needed to buy a tax stamp, or you wanted to own that Thompson or whatever you were trying to get, that stamp, which is $200 today, is more like $5,000 or more back in the 30s.
Right. Yeah. It was a significant purchase.
And it was during the most depressing time in American history.
Nice. Well played.
So looking at jumping back. You're right on all accounts. I mean, I don't want to discount anything you guys just said, because, yes, the Thompson was a thing to be feared. And the funny thing is that even nowadays, $200 is enough for someone to say. Most of these cans can go anywhere from, what, $600 to $1,800, $600 to $1,800, and that $200 is like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And it's disappointing. So it doesn't matter if it was the Roaring '20s or if it was 2015. But when you go to their site and you actually get through the navigating, I don't know when they changed that, but it has a fact, NFA Gun Trust, best way to purchase silencers and other NFA regulated items, and then the verbiage on the almost 3 paragraphs kind of leads you to kind of go down this same road as people who have these sites, like, Easy FFL, how to create your own FFL, yada yada. Now, if there's anyone I trust to actually have paperwork that would guide me, because for one, it's in their benefit, and 2, it's in everyone's benefit, would be Silencer Co., so I'm not discounting that. But it doesn't get more into the details as to what I can add to cart, and then they send me a form, and maybe once I pay the $130, I look behind the curtain and I see what's going on. But I would like a little more information on their website as to what this is actually, what this is doing for me. So
yeah. On the topic of those kind of easy trusts and all that sort of thing, I would like to recommend to the listeners and the viewers at home that you go ahead and do your research. There is a lot of specific language that needs to go into a trust, and that is why they cost what they cost. A good trust will run you anywhere from $300 to $700. I mean, these are not things that are cheap, because they are a complex thing. They need to protect you in a lot of different ways. So these easy trusts that are just copy-paste are, for lack of a better way of putting it, you kind of get what you pay for. I would not trust something that is just a quick thing off the internet. I just wouldn't. I'm not that type of person, but if this is what's going to get a lot of people to get a can and help the market grow, sure, I'm behind it.
All right, we've beat that dead horse enough. So let's move on to French mayor is criticized for arming the French police, and then a companion article to that is. Rabbi says, change European gun laws to arm the Jews.
I love it.
Go on. We have Jewish.
So it's funny. It's funny to me, and I actually personally love seeing that particular statement, simply because a lot of modern Jews in the United States, in my experience, are very liberal. They're very anti-gun, and they don't know the full history of the gun and the Jewish culture or religion to fully appreciate how they're just beating themselves. All through history, Jews have either been slaves, persecuted, burned, gassed, you name it. They've been, as a culture, victims. And when given the opportunity to actually defend yourself, you have your Joshuas, you have your Maccabees, you have all these figures that they're like, oh, that's who's going to save us, so to speak. And you have a warrior class within that culture, but none of the full scope of things, really weighs on the Jewish culture. I mean, I think there was an older Firearms Radio Network with Evs and Lou was on. Or was it a different show entirely?
No,
where
that was us.
The JPFO, Jews for the Preservation of Firearms.
Right. Yep.
To me, that was a big deal for them to fold, because if they could just harness where that energy was going, they need to spread that message. So to have an actual rabbi saying, no, fix this, General Rabbi Menachem Margolin is calling for gun laws near to be changed so Jews can carry weapons. Now, I think that's a slightly wrong approach. I think he should probably say, let the population. I don't like when people single out the Jewish religion as a reason to be separated or above. I'm sure there's plenty of rabbis that would disagree with me, because every religious leader thinks their religion is the best. But what it boils down to is that this needs to happen. It needs to be said, it needs to be verbal, it needs to be vocal, it needs to reach far and reach wide, because my own mother, even she's like, what do you need a gun for? Oh, the police will come. But in the very next breath, don't trust the police. It's like, you can't just be a victim and then blame, whatever. You're either responsible for yourself or you're not. You're responsible for your loved ones or you're not. There's no gray area there. At least from what I can see. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I like seeing this, and I think France should get their act together, because from what I hear, their armed forces are actually nowadays the cream of the crop. They're doing great things. A lot of our warriors over there respect the French special forces and whatnot a great deal. So if they can do it, those people are eventually going to come home. They're going to want to continue to do it, and the citizens should be wanting to defend themselves. There is no Joan of Arc. I'm sorry. Just fix it.
Yeah, on the topic of France and Jewish people, there was a video I had seen recently where a guy, I don't know if he was actually Jewish or not, this was just a video that I had seen on Facebook. He put a yarmulke on and he walked the streets in, I believe, Paris, somewhere in France. I am not positive on this, but
yeah, John, sorry to interrupt. I just pasted this in the show notes, and I'm glad you're bringing this up. And yeah, he's a Orthodox Jew and Israeli journalist.
Yeah, so this guy is walking the streets, and he is just getting kind of lambasted. For those of you at home that have seen that video of a girl walking the streets of New York City, it's a very similar thing. Person in front has a camera on his backpack, guy following behind, and they record what happens to them as they walk around. And the comments and the hatred that's being spewed towards somebody just because they're Jewish and openly so is just atrocious and scary, honestly, because that goes back a long way in European history and a deep, deep, dark road. So to see that and these people apparently currently unable to arm themselves, that sucks, man. That's awful. I mean, I'm comfortable with everybody being armed. The old saying, an armed society is a polite society, I think that goes worldwide. I don't think that has to be an American thing.
The politest place I'll ever be at is a gun range.
Right.
That's my experience.
Which they have probably outlawed all those in France by now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about French people, buddy?
We don't have to go in that direction.
Frenchie.
Well, it's unfortunate. I mean, France is, 10, 20 years from now is not going to look anything like France, I don't think.
We shall see.
So let's move on to Marine Corps is looking to adopt the first Glock. That's right, the first Glock-made pistol for special operations personnel. So they're going the polymer route, it looks like.
I'm just going to go, I guess I'll start this off and say, yeah, it's about time. It's about time. Seriously? What took so long? What took so long? I don't even, I've been on record before as saying, I'm not the biggest fan of Glocks, but to see MARSOC, who apparently not that long ago adopted the M45A1, a 1911, now looking at the Glock 19, that's freaking cool. That's really cool. That says a lot about the progress that's being made in the Marine Corps.
I think it's also a changeover from old backroom deals and, my grandfather's great. It's that Tony Stark speech. That's how Dad did it. It's how Grandpa did it. It's how America does it. That's why the 1911 stuck around so long. That's why the Beretta M9 stuck around so long. Combination of penny pinching, and that's just the way it's always been done, so why shake things up? So maybe after all these years there's finally some top brass in there that's rattling the cage a little bit and saying that's not what my men want, and they're actually kind of fighting for it. That's just my totally random opinion. I have no basis for that.
Who is Tony Stark?
I hate you, and you should be muted for the rest of the show. How dare you?
All right, I need you guys on our comic book nerd podcast coming soon to the Firearms Radio Network. Let's move on to woman kills herself trying to adjust her bra holster.
Well, is that how she killed herself? Because I heard she had it pointed at her face. I mean, let's not just equate and say that she had a holster that is designed to have a gun pointed at your chest or near your chest. And that's how she died, because I'm pretty sure she pulled it out, was checking the gun, and had it pointed at her eye, and it discharged and killed her immediately. Is that a little bit more accurate?
I don't know. Educate me, brother. All I've been seeing is these headlines and me going, well, I maybe should wear a bra, but I don't wear one on a regular basis, so I don't know about this holster.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a woman, and this happened back on New Year's Day, by the way, and is just now trickling down. But a woman who accidentally shot herself in the eye on New Year's Day at her Lake Michigan home was adjusting the handgun in her bra holster. She was having trouble adjusting her bra holster, couldn't get it to fit the way she wanted to. She was looking down at it and accidentally discharged the weapon. Now, family, this is awful. This is like the worst thing ever. It's unnecessary. That loss of life is such a waste. But for the 4 safety laws still apply no matter what you're trying to do, whether it's adjust a holster, regardless of where that holster is. You have to know where the muzzle of that gun is, even if it's inside of a holster, and you don't point it at your face. I'm so sorry to the family. I feel bad even talking about it because it's awful. And at the same time, it has to be a teaching moment too, I would think, right? Kind of like the instructor in the West, was it a year or two ago, that handed an Uzi to a 9-year-old that didn't know how to use it, and he got killed. Like, where it was just this awful gut-wrenching thing, but you're like, okay, I'm not saying a 9-year-old couldn't handle an Uzi, but under the circumstances, it was like a pay-to-shoot range. This 9-year-old did not, and I think it's kind of the same thing where we want to talk about it without slandering, the person, the family, and just spewing hate and things like that, or to the Looper family and that Flashbang brand, because they've been wildly popular, especially in the last few years, and with the growing contingency of women shooters and concealed carry members of our community that are ladies, that's all kind of gone hand in hand. And so this is, nobody wants to hear that. Lisa doesn't want to hear that. They've been kind people. I've had good conversations with them, but the women in my family are not allowed to carry a holster that puts the muzzle of the gun right here. And that's it. That's just, this, she wasn't even drawing it. She's trying to adjust it, and it's terrible. It's awful.
I mean, let's be fair here. The holster wasn't to blame. The person was. There's
right.
Always that human interaction, and that's why we call it a negligent discharge, not an accidental discharge. There's no such thing. Guns don't go off on accident. They go off because you did something wrong. It's that simple, and it's unfortunate. Somebody got hurt here. It happens.
Well, and those things do happen. It's scary, but it does happen, and it happens even to experienced shooters. But if that happens and you're obeying the other 3 laws, or and that gun is pointed in a safe direction when it happens, then the consequence is much smaller.
Correct.
And so that's why we have 4 laws, not just one. And this is, it's just, oh.
Well, in this holster, to me, it seems like the kind of holster that you would want to take off your bra. If I wore a bra, take off your bra and
Are you undressing us, Jake?
Yeah, to put the gun back in the holster. It doesn't seem like something I'd be comfortable reholstering while it's clamped right there on what I'm saying.
Well, most of my appendix holsters.
Jake?
Most of my appendix holsters for smaller guns, or ones that are, like, for instance, my the LTX holster that I carry from Soko Kydex, that covers the muzzle, and then it sweeps under the cylinder and covers the trigger guard completely. It snaps in. When I reholster that, I take the holster out to do it, just because I don't need extra technique happening inside of my waistband in a sensitive area like that. And you're right. I mean, I'm depressed.
So let's move on to Evolve plays off the Playthings gun safety spot success. So if you remember, we shared this video last year when it was a YouTube video where it's like 2 young boys are having a play date, and the mom comes to pick the one boy up, and the mothers are talking, and the kids come running outside playing with mommy's play toys, mommy and daddy's play toys, and using them as swords. And so now they have some I don't know, what would you call these images? They're PSA images, I guess.
Sure.
I love Evolve.
And the one says, well, in the end of that video, it says if they find it, they'll play with it. Always lock your guns up. That was the gist of that. And now these are the same way. And it has a little boy in the bathroom with
all the tampons.
All the tampons.
All the tampons. You gotta look at this picture. It's freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Anyone who has ever had a child, ever, can watch any one of these Evolve ads and instantly be like, the light bulb goes off. If you can apply it to a marital aid vibratory device, if you could apply it to a tampon, if you could apply it to the tools that you didn't want, or the glue, or the paint, or the markers, or the whiteout. Like, I mean, think of anything that every time your kids got into it or get into it, and it's like, God damn it! Like, are you kidding me right now? My kid was blue for a day. I mean, I thought he was painting, and I look over and he's painting. I look over and he's painting, and then I look away for possibly 2 minutes. Who knows? I turn around and I'm making painted arms like the man at work, because we had a friend who had full sleeves, and he is blue, face, hands, arms. Like, what do you do? Evolve gets it. They know how to reach this generation and hopefully future generations, and maybe some from previous generations. They do it in a very classy way. They do it very tongue-in-cheek, and they still get the message across, and it's high-quality video. I mean, it is really well put together, and I'm trolling their site right now trying to find out, because they flat out put out there, we're not involved, no political affiliations. Like, I want to know who's quote-unquote pulling the strings, and it doesn't look like there's even... This is where Ackerman or whoever runs NRA's stuff should be looking at. They shouldn't be looking where they are right now.
Yeah.
This is spot on. I think Evolve's doing good things, and I look forward to seeing more from them in the future.
What do you mean by where the NRA is looking right now?
Why are they looking at you, Ebbinghaus?
I don't know.
You know what? Right now is probably a bad term. I would say in the past 2 years, the direction they've gone.
So
awkward silence. Why? I don't understand. What's going on here? Smugging house.
It's really vague, so I'm hoping for some more details.
Josh,
you're an a-hole.
Are you talking about the membership drive the NRA has been on with their cohorts over the last few years?
I mean, listen, every circus has its clowns, and the clowns are expected to be clowns. So, I mean, you can't sit there and say they're always going to troll for more membership, whether you're a member or not, or you don't uncheck the box or whatever. No, I mean, I'm talking more of the commentators was a great idea that was executed poorly. I think a lot of people either got a bad taste in their mouth, and the only positive that came out of it was they captured a younger generation that respects the people and not the message. And it's lacking history, it's lacking context, and it's clearly done by people that love the gun industry's money but not the gun industry's cause or principles. So, I mean, maybe that's bold of me to say. I honestly don't care.
No, I asked you to, and the reason I asked you to is because I think you have an interesting perspective on, when we get deep with stuff like that, you always provide good insights beyond, because I've got my first gun when I was 9 years old, and I've been shooting other family members' guns since before that. So I'm only 34, but I have an old hat mind when it comes to stuff like that.
Right, and
unfortunately. And so, and we're the same age, and you started much later than I did.
7 years ago, 8 years ago, tops.
Right, and so hearing your perspective of, I guess, it's better to hear somebody else help me think critically about this organization and the way that they should be reaching the world around, because I unfortunately think a lot like that organization. And not like a new gun owner, which is still becoming such a huge percentage of firearm ownership.
So for those of you at home that are listening and not actually watching, I've met both John and Ebbs, both in person as well as after I started Four Guys Guns, and it's been a constantly evolving. We all talk fairly regularly, and Eric is the epitome of what the NRA tries to paint a picture of. He was raised with great values. He was raised to respect and understand firearms. He's gone hunting. He's the outdoor life. He is poster child for the portrait that the NRA tries to paint to the American public. Unfortunately, as things are moving a lot forward, people like Ebbs will never go away, but you then bring into the mix people like me and Chaos, where we are either in suburban or urban environments. We are a younger generation that respects things a little bit differently. And if someone like in my case was never brought up with firearms to respect them or to know what they are, or anything further than what you've seen in movies and TV shows, it's a different world. And you can't broad stroke those audiences all the same way. I don't think what they're doing is wrong. I just definitely don't think it's right. And I think they need to have a little bit more, I would say, scalpel-like focus on hitting those, and I hate to throw the marketing term demographics out there, but they need to. And I think that's kind of what they're missing right now, and they're only capturing that younger generation, the people that are watching the Kardashians or whatever that big butt chick is, and people like Kanye West who have no respect for people like Paul McCartney, Beck, and how they even paved the road for someone like him to be there. When you respect that more than you respect what a firearm can do to a living person and how to treat it and handle it and common values of the family and, you know, father-son, mother-daughter, mother-son, father-daughter bonds, when you take that out of the equation and it's just, or even how this country was founded, I mean, geez, how crucial guns were to its survival, to its flourishment, and to its position as a world power. Get educated. I mean, that's what it boils down to, and you have to do it in a way that reaches out to people. That's just, you know, and you're going to get me going. So somebody else take the wheel.
You're going already, brother. I like it. I think this is a reasonable discussion. I mean, we've had this conversation in private many times. I mean, you know, like you said, we speak on a regular basis, you know, and talking about this is important because I think more people need to be made aware of what's actually happening here. I personally love it when we pull back the curtain of the firearms industry and share things like this, share opinions on things and give different perspectives. I love it. I think it's ultra important for the people out there to see the entire picture because that's the type of person I am. I want to see everything. I think, you know, what I was getting at earlier is the same thing that you just said. I think that I called it a membership drive because that's all the NRA to me wanted out of that. They didn't want to change minds. They didn't want to educate. They wanted membership to just give them more money. And yes, when you boil it down, that is a simplistic way to look at it. But I think the way they did it and the way they went about it was just incorrect. And it could have been done a lot better. I mean, I said all along the way, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too, give me the backing, the financial backing that the NRA has, and we will hit a home run. Give me, Ebbs and Whitey, a show backed by the NRA, and watch what happens.
And you know what's funny about that?
You've already said too much. You've already said too much.
You know what's funny about that, though, is that as a business owner as well, you have to look at, you know, even take it down to something as simple as Boom Beach. Boom Beach is a great example. You may not want to kill every single guy you send up at beach, but you know to achieve the main cause, the main goal of that particular level in the game, people need to be sacrificed. People are just that. They are pawns. And you do get to a certain level in any game, whether it's business, something on your iPhone, whether it's moving up in the world of corporate structure. Some people are pawns, plain and simple. The problem is that the NRA is they honestly don't care about you and me unless it's something that's going to move a bigger piece into a better position. So maybe it's not the NRA saying screw you. Maybe it's the NRA saying I have to screw you because this is going to afford to put this person in that place to do more damage than you can do as John Q, the individual. And you have to respect that game, unfortunately, because whether we see it or don't see it, there's clearly something happening there that whether it's for our benefit or not, and I think that's where a lot of people get the disdain that we have, is that we don't know everything. We don't see the big picture. And only a select few probably do.
And I think that's a mistake. I think they do a poor job educating people as to what their actual goals are, and a little bit of communication could go a very, very long way. I mean, look at the way
cards. At the same time, you're showing cards, so the people.
Right, but look at the way they reacted to Sandy Hook. It was weak at best. And that is, reacting like they did at a time when we needed them most was weak. And it, things like that are just an utter disappointment. But anyway, this is if we let this go too much farther, we are going to turn this into something way worse than we intended.
Right, and we're already missing a whole bunch of stuff due to suppressors and NFA and now NRA bashing. And
hey, it happens.
Jake can start cutting stories out. We're not going to have our happy fun time.
I know. I already cut a bunch from the main topic.
I'm not even looking at me more, Jake. I like to be surprised.
Oh, okay. Well. Oops. Looks like I cut Josh from the show, too. So.
Oh, womp womp.
All right. Well, if you would like to contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns, you can shop Amazon. And by doing that, shopping with our Amazon affiliate link, a small portion of the proceeds goes back to Firearms Radio Network. And one thing you could check out on Amazon is Gun Safety in the Home by Masad Ayub. If you maybe have someone new in your family, new to guns, new gun owner, friend, family member, this might be a quick little read for them to go over the fundamentals of gun ownership and gun safety. So that's on Amazon.com. Got a direct affiliate link here in the show notes. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. This is where we each pick a story or two to talk about, laugh about, make fun of other people about. And
before we get into happy fun time, I just do want to say a small piece.
Sure.
I didn't know about people like Masad Ayub, Jeff Cooper, even people as current as like your Rod Pincus, Chris Costa, until I was already into firearms, and I mean into it like wrapping my head around it, diving in, seeking knowledge. For those of you that don't know who Masad Ayub is, this is the guy you want as your sheriff in every town, every place, everywhere. He is no BS. He has been there, done that, and done it twice. And every time I've seen him in an interview, he's a no BS guy that always has a smile on his face. He's a great dude, and he knows a whole crap ton about guns. And he will most likely be a legend that you won't hear about until he's at Jeff Cooper status, So by all means, check out Masad Ayub, look into Jeff Cooper, look into all the godfathers of modern firearms, so to speak, and definitely digest. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
Well, John, why don't you kick us off here?
Okay, so there is a little story on the truth about guns, and apparently James Bond is dumping his Walther for one of the greatest firearms ever produced. No, I'm kidding. He's now going to be carrying in his new movie Spectre an H&K VP9. I've been noted as an H&K fanboy, and even though that is not the case,
No,
I think
not you.
No, it's not true. The VP9 is a very, very comfortable gun. Unfortunately, I have not shot one yet, and I think it's cool that in this kind of franchise, I guess you could call it, of James Bond movies, that they're kind of moving in a different direction. They did that with a lot of the vehicles. I mean, even though it was Astons, they still showed some other stuff in there. And now, Daniel Craig is there's a picture of him here carrying an H&K of all guns instead of a Walther. That's pretty cool. Nobody? No comments?
I don't care.
All right.
All right. Ebbinghaus.
I got this. Yeah.
All right. Josh, thoughts on the VP9?
No, not at all. I heard HK and then because John said it. If Eb said it, I'd be like, oh, HK, VP9, let's talk. Yeah, baby, talk. But
Thanks. I'm glad what I have to say about HK.
It's a good design.
Just know that HK can't pay you anymore. Okay, they can't pay you anymore.
Oh, God, dude, timestamp all over this. You are just the worst. I'm not paid by HK. I just happen to love the HK-45. Okay. I like one gun, maybe two. Oh, wait. Hold on. And HK machine guns are the greatest thing
Like
ever created.
G36. I was waiting for that.
The G36, yeah, that's a great gun.
I do like the G36, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of guys in the service say that thing was crap.
I don't care if it's crap in the service. I care that it's awesome to shoot because I'm a civilian that likes machine guns. I don't have to use it for real life. Go ahead.
All right. Abs, what do you have?
I don't have anything. I looked at this Viagra story, the self-defense tip by Viagra on Truth About Guns, but I don't know why Robert Farrago made that his title, because it doesn't make sense and it's dumb.
It makes no sense.
It's so he's a good writer, but that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And so there was one thing that I was going to bring up real quick and I didn't see in here was I don't know if you guys saw out here in Colorado the guy who hunted down a burglar and shot him.
Oh, I heard about that.
And he shot him under the premise of castle doctrine. He tried to make like the manhunt and then subsequent shooting an act of self-defense, and the cops are like, "Sorry, no, you're going to prison for 70 years." Like that's the court just ruled that.
Oh, and it was a foreign exchange student he shot, right?
Right.
So allegedly, like the house had been broken into like several times, and I guess he had made the appropriate complaints, and eventually he just waited for him. But it wasn't the fact that he shot him and now he's going to jail. He shot him 4 times at close range with a 12 gauge in the face.
Yeah. It was,
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it properly, right?
He went Jason Statham on him.
I mean, the guy, you can't even like get dental records at that point. He's a canoe.
Oh, that's gross. Totally gross.
I want that visual because you need to wrap your head around the fact that guns do damage, and that's premeditated, no matter how you slice it.
Oh
yeah.
I'm gonna wait, and then I'm gonna pump not 1 or 2 or 3, but the entire tube of most likely low brass birdshot.
The amount means nothing. The amount of shots he took means nothing. The fact that he chased the guy down and went after him is the important part to remember here. This is, you said premeditated for sure. When you make that decision to go after somebody, he apparently waited. Is that correct? He waited in the home for this kid, and then proceeded to chase him down. Bro, Castle Doctrine does not go that far. Relax.
All right, Josh, what do you have?
I have one of these are always my favorites. Anti-gun attorney arrested for gun at airport. I love it. It's because it's just the ultimate victory to me. It's like, got you, bastard. Every time you find an anti-gun person that, diddles kids, that, packs a gun and gets caught with it, that hires armed security guards and gets caught for it. I mean, this is the epitome. So, and it was in Cleveland, of all places. I didn't think anybody cared in Cleveland, but I've never been there, so... It's Cleveland. So apparently this lawyer, David Malik, the original attorney for the family of 12-year-old Tamir Rice, who was slain by police in November. I never believe headlines like that, but he spent the night in jail after a .22 caliber handgun and a box of ammunition were discovered by airport security.
It wasn't even a good. He didn't even have anything substantial.
I love how we look at that.
He got caught traveling with a rimfire. I mean, what was that? He didn't know anything. He went. He didn't know anything about guns, but he was afraid for some reason, or he had something going on. So he's like, "I got to get a gun." And
I shut down TSA for 25 minutes because I had 50 caliber bottle openers in my freaking bag.
That was a good story, though.
So, I mean, honestly, though, is this how they think? I'm so anti-gun that, you know what, screw it. I'll just do what everyone else is doing. I'll bring guns wherever I want.
They would never suspect me.
No. I honestly think it's way more idiotic than that. I honestly think that the person has to be so stupid that they go, you know what? These gun guys, they really don't like me. So one of those gun guys is going to come kill me with one of their guns, so I'm going to get a gun. And then they don't realize how stupid they actually sound.
But this is the article that keeps on giving. I mean, this thing has Giving Tree written all over it because it has links to every single one in recent history of anti-gun people getting caught out. From California State, Leland Yee.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
There's just so many, and they're all linked, and it's great. So if you want a good, haha, I got you, or you just want ammo for that person bashing you on your Facebook feed or whatever, just links galore. Enjoy.
All right, so I saw several of these in the last week of these Russian guys, like either testing body armor or bulletproof helmets, or and they were shooting at an actual person to test these. And the one I saw with the body armor, I mean, this guy is like 10 feet away from the guy with the body armor on, and so he's like, yeah, I'm going to shoot my buddy with body armor and show how effective it is. And he's shooting with an AK or some kind of rifle, I forget. But he misses and shoots his buddy in the arm.
I saw that one.
And then,
but
where
did this happen?
Russia. It's always Russia.
There you go.
They don't give a F about anything.
That's your answer.
I love it. It's great.
Shake it off with vodka. No problem.
Yeah. And then the one I linked to in the show notes tonight is how to tell if a helmet is well made in 3 easy steps. Step 1, have a friend place the helmet on his or her head. Step 2, aim gun at helmet atop friend's head. And step 3 is squeeze the trigger and hope the friend doesn't move or that your aim isn't off by the slightest.
Or that you flinch.
This little video, I just watched it. So it's two, like, I don't know, guys in their 20s, maybe late teens, and the one kid has on what appears to be like an old, like, Russian war helmet. I don't know. It's got a clear visor and it's got like a box holding the visor, and then it's just like a ballistic helmet on top. Well, the round actually hits the edge of the box, where, like, if it was like a centimeter lower, it would have been right square in the middle of the visor and struck the kid right in the face.
What is that? Is that a Mosin revolver? Is that what he was using?
That thing's like a 22. It doesn't even move when he pulls the trigger.
Probably a 38, like with soft ammo.
Yeah. Next time you're gonna point a gun at your friend's head and test the helmet, get a bigger caliber, jerk.
And he just, like, if you got to go watch this video. Jake, you have the link in the show notes, right, on guns.com. So the guy, he first of all, it's like an Old West shootout where they take paces away from each other. So he turns sideways, one hand's the pistol, and then, like, you could see as soon as it hits the kid in the helmet, the guy with the gun, like, turns and walks away, like, job is done. And he just turns and he starts to, like, saunter away.
All right, I gotta watch this again. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I definitely shot him right in the head.
Oh, and for Ebbs?
Is it better to be feared or respected? And I say, is it too much to ask for both? That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
A little bit of Tony Stark, huh?
Gotta throw it in there.
Fair use.
All right, John, did you want to hit another story here in the full auto segment?
I don't know, that HK one was so important to me. I'm such a fan, such a fanboy.
Ebbs, do you have a comment on this Colorado company that makes realistic open carry shirts?
Here's what I think. I think if you conceal carry, then your wardrobe, your vehicle, anything could give away the fact that you might potentially have a gun on you. It's just like printing really bad. You know what I mean? It's like the vehicle in the parking lot at Outback Steakhouse, as you're walking in, you see they have a Glock sticker on their window. Well, I personally know for a fact several people who have concealed carry permits only so they feel comfortable keeping a gun in the vehicle with them, and they don't keep it on their person. And so I feel like it's a sign, that says "steal me." And I think things like this are things that say, it does one of two things. One, it says attack me, or two, it says start a heated conversation with me. And I don't really want either of those things, because if you're stupid, I don't want to have a conversation with you. And if you're armed, I don't want any trouble. Okay? So that's my comment on that, Colorado or not. I mean, Colorado can try to do whatever it wants to try to be relevant in the gun world again. We already spoiled our chance a couple years ago. So
I think this puts people in a bad situation, just like back when Nintendo came out with the Laser Blaster. This has an already adrenaline-riddled situation gone bad written all over it, and on a worst day, I put this right there with that same. You ever see that holster that has like a fake gun in it, and it's like one piece? It's like the holster and then like the butt of you can choose 1911 or a SIG or Glock, but it's not a gun. It's like a grip molded to like a Serpa, and it just. Like I was saying, it draws the wrong attention.
Yeah.
Or the cell phone case that's a handgun grip.
Oh, excellent choice.
For yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
How does this have anything to do with a Nintendo Blaster? What? You lost me there.
So back in the 80s when the duck hunt and all that, there was and laser tag, kids were getting shot because they're like playing in the dark and cops think it was an actual gun. So I'm looking at this shirt, this neon yellow, and it looks like, a leather over the shoulder really weird rig with what appears to be the butt of a SIG 226 sticking out of it, and it's not like a line drawing. It's like a trompe de l'eau, whatever that French word is for it looks friggin' real.
I can't tell if it's a SIG P226 or like a Luger.
It might be a P38.
Yeah, but it's that mistaken identity. I mean, when you take that into court and you do your Monday morning quarterback routine, people look at that and be like, how'd you think that was a gun, officer? Well, when people are already elevated and a guy crosses an arm up to arm down, whether it's to go get his cell phone, his keys, or anything, and you see that, to me, that's a mistaken identity. Back to Nintendo Laser Blaster, back to laser tag.
Yeah. So I have a Nintendo Blaster at home that it was broken, so the cord got cut off it, and that's my son's favorite toy gun right now.
No. So we got that going for us.
Yeah,
That'll happen.
Better not let him play outside with him.
So I have my last story here.
All right, go for it.
President Obama under fire after pointing fingers like a gun. If this is not the greatest thing ever, there's, I guess, in his promotions to try and get you to sign up for health care that nobody wants or needs, that shoving that down your throat. He did some ad where he was in a mirror and he went pew pew, pointing his fingers like a gun, and we all made these comments ages ago about how ridiculous it is, and people getting sent home from school, and these kids having all kinds of issues with Pop-Tart guns, and now the president does it, and of all people, Piers Morgan, there he is to make us laugh at how stupid he is appalled that President Obama would fancy his fingers into a shape which resembles a gun. Morgan popped off.
Fancy his fingers.
Fancy.
So this is something that Piers Morgan said on Twitter. President Obama pretends to fire a gun to promote healthcare. Is it just me that finds this appalling?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
I find it ironic and laughable. The entire situation is hilarious. That these somebody the president he's not allowed to point his fingers like guns, because nobody's allowed to do that, because this has to be like England where people get killed in the streets and have their heads cut off. Right, Pierce? Right? How about that?
I want to find that tweet right now just so I can respond not as appalling as you trying to be relevant again, but that's just me.
I thought he was dead.
No, he was only dead when he goes back to England, because they're dying to kill him over there.
All right, well, if you like more witty shows like this one, This Week in Guns, you can contribute by going to patreon.com/week to throw your support behind Pro Gun Radio. And it's just an easy way for you to crowdfund these episodes by pledging as little as $1 per episode, or even $5 per episode if you so like. And we send out random boxes full of swag. We call them battle boxes, And companies like MS Clean Kits, Duluth Trading Company, GunGoddess.com, and Duke Cannon Supply Company have thrown in goodies into these battle boxes. So check it out, patreon.com/week. And we also have a Firearms Radio Network Patreon that you can support the whole network as a whole via a monthly Patreon, whether it's $1 a month or $5 a month, you choose. That's patreon.com/FRN. Well, that brings us to the tail end of the show. So, Abs, what's going on over at House of Guns?
Just trying to keep my head above water right now. You know, we get back from SHOT Show. Everything before SHOT Show is getting ready for SHOT Show, and then you get back and you're like, oh crap, I'm even more behind than when I left. And then you're still trying to cultivate those new relationships. I haven't been on the show since then, so we had a great time, great show this year, and enjoyed ourselves. So more videos coming out, and more stuff going to the site. I've kind of focused primarily just on YouTube for a little bit because, to be honest with you, it's easier. Just editing videos is easier than writing along with it, and adding photos and editing photos. And so YouTube's been getting a little bit more attention than the other stuff. So yeah, same avenues. House of Guns. That's HAUS of guns.com, and then on all social media avenues: Instagram, Twitter, and the Face Space.
All even what's that old one? Starts with an M. MySpace.
Just the ones that matter, Jake. Just the ones that matter.
But John's on MySpace, right?
Yeah, I'm still on MySpace. You know, doing it proud. I also have a GeoCities website.
That's a throwback, man.
And those URLs are so easy to remember. It's like
geocities.com/user/home//XXXXX chaos XXXZ.
Underscore.
So John, what's going on over at your channel?
So you know, it's more of the same. You know, I'm just trying to get content out, trying to get through a lot of things. I know some people out there may know that I started my own media company not that long ago, and that has just been taking up a significant amount of time as we get some pretty big projects going through the year. Doing a lot of stuff with high speed video, and it's really cool stuff. And you'll see a lot more ammo tests coming out, and a few reviews. And this year, you know, I'm really hoping to go in a slightly different direction than previous, and kind of step up the quality, but also kind of just take things from a different approach than previous. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait.
That's right. Tell us a little bit more about your media company, because you've helped firearms companies. I know we have companies that listen to the show. So
kind of, you know, where it came from was a certain company came to me and said, hey, we need some help with commercials and this and that, and now it's turned into shooting product videos, again, commercials. We have, you know, I can do some photography. I have a lot of guys that do photography for me, and do everything from marketing strategies and websites and all that kind of good stuff. It's kind of still in the infancy of the company, but there's a lot of potential to do a lot of big things, and I'm really working on building some really important relationships as we speak. I mean, there was a company, we were at the Great American Outdoors Show in Harrisburg, and there was actually a company that approached me about building an app for them. So hopefully that happens. It's going to be an interesting year, that's for sure. So if anybody out there wants to know about my media company, it's Patent Media Consulting, all one word, .com.
Very cool. And Josh, Four Guys Guns, what's going on?
Four Guys Guns is unfortunately buried under mountains and mountains and mountains of snow. So when you do things like firearms reviews and instructional videos, you tend to be a little hampered by that. So we're putting a lot of focus on photography right now, just because it's unfortunately what we can do. But we still are putting out lots of videos, more than I think in March we'll see more than we have in previous months. We're getting back on the horse, so to speak. Members gets updated roughly every 2 to 3 weeks with a new video, without hesitation. We have another one going, I believe, beginning of next week, which is a really great one. FGG members will have the how to self-diagnose. So it's one thing for us to go to a range and, practice. You just send rounds downrange, yada, 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 yada. But unless you're there with a professional firearms instructor or someone who's proficient, you always have that guy at the range who's like, oh, try doing this, try doing that. Instead of just being able to say, here's where the bullet's hitting, here's why it's hitting there, here's how to fix it. And, because FGG members is online, you can actually take that on your iPhone, on your iPad, and you can look at it at the range, and you can follow through, and you could get those pointers to be able to practice and do better shots. So this is the core of what FGG members is all about, and I'm really looking forward to getting this video out there. And, go to 4guysguns.com/join if you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, or YouTube. It's always at 4guysguns, all spelled out. And,
And that wraps us up for this week. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes, which will be posted at thisweekinguns.com/105. And also leave us that iTunes review, subscribe there, listen on your commute. Contribute to the Firearms Radio Network by shopping our Brownells and Amazon affiliate links. You can find those on our site, thisweekinguns.com. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, John.
Thanks for having me again, Jake. It's always fun, man.
Thank you, Josh.
Always a better year. Thanks for having me, Jake. Damn it, I stumbled.
And thank you. Thank you, Ebbs.
Thank you, Jake.
Whoa!
We'll see you next week.
That wraps up